Welcome to week 25 of Where Rams Walk. It's 20 minutes of Derby County chat. And the main focus this week is, do our fans on this podcast believe it's time for a change, or should we stick it out for two more games? We're also talking about Corey Blackett-Taylor. AI, we've asked it to predict all Derby County's away fixtures. How many points does it predict the Rams will get? And we're constructing our worst ever Derby County side. Stay tuned to the end of the video, because we're putting in the worst ever strikers to add to the worst ever goalkeeper from last week. Hope you are well. My name is Mark. We run this weekly as a 20-minute Derby County podcast. We've got Peyton and Kieran from Track DCFC with us, and we're delighted to have one of the kings of Derby County Twitter joining us, as well as Tom. Joining us on a very dodgy week, Tom, so thank you very much for this. There's only one thing to talk about. Peyton, I'll start with you if that's okay, because we have spoken about this issue many, many times over the 25 weeks we've been running. But for you now, is Paul Warne's time up?
Yeah, I think Saturday proved a point that hadn't been proved to me yet, but I think a lot of less patient fans proved, and it's that he clearly can't manage in the Championship, or at least he can't manage against good Championship sides. Because I can't say Watford were a good team, but they genuinely just looked better all game. And they sat back for half an hour in the first half and half an hour in the second half, and we created practically nothing. And then there was there wasn't anything. There was no changes at half time. It took him too long to bring on important impact players that never got a chance to get going. He kept on players who were, quite frankly, woeful. And he just looked like he had no plan B and kept doing the same thing. And they probably could have scored 4 or 5 with the chances that they had. And it's just not a good place to be, especially with some big games coming up in the next week, 2 weeks.
Has he lost the dressing room for you, Kieran? Thanks, Peyton.
I do worry. I do see signs of that. I just feel when we were in League One, we had that, motivation and that desire and fight. But I felt against Watford, there were some parts that was meant to be lacking. I felt when we played against Leeds, for example, I felt even though we lost, I thought that was a side that was fighting for the badge and fighting for the team, fighting for the manager. Against Watford, their form has been just as poor as ours. Yeah, and a lot of their fans were a little bit pessimistic coming to Pride Park, but eventually they left with all 3 points and they looked relatively comfortable. So yeah, I do worry we're seeing signs of that. Yeah.
Okay. I could have put 100 different tweets on here, but here's just a sample of them. Sam says David Clowes is forever a legend, but he needs to get this guy out before all his hard work is undone, because we are heading straight back to League One. James here says, Paul Warne, you'll forever be in our history as the man that got us out of League One, but it is time to go. Tom, do you agree?
I do. I think I went a little bit hard last night in raw emotion after the game. But yeah, I said it at the start of the season to my friends. I've said it ever since we brought him in. He's great to get you out of League One, but he just doesn't have a proven track record of maintaining Championship teams. Yes, he's only ever had it with Rotherham, but he's had 3 or 4 stabs at it and he's took them back down every single time. Like has been mentioned in his tweets, he'll always be in our history. He's got us back promoted, back to the Championship, but this is as far as he can take us.
Tom, do you think there's extra pressure on your owner here? Because when he looks at what Oxford have done, and obviously very similar to yourself, they had Des Buckingham, who's unproven in the Championship. They obviously sacked him just before the transfer window, and now they've got, as they keep saying, an upgrade in the manager, and look how it's turned out for them. Do you think that's not going to help Paul Warne here, that there's lots of similarities between the two clubs?
I think look, David Cloud's in a really difficult position. Obviously, Paul Warne is the first manager he's brought in from becoming owner, and I mean they've got a good relationship. It's clear to see, but with other sides around us pulling the trigger, as you say, Oxford have done it, Plymouth have done it, and Cardiff, like, they've all changed managers, and Plymouth are still yet to see, but the other two have both picked up some form and are absolutely smashing it at the moment. So the pressure's on. It doesn't look good because, yes, the change needs to be made sooner rather than later, otherwise it becomes too late, and then we are back in League One.
Yeah, 5 losses out of 6. Peyton 1 point above the relegation zone. Derby can't afford financially to drop back into League One. It would be catastrophic for lots of reasons. If he was to go, and we're recording this before the Sunderland game, who on earth do you bring in?
That's an interesting one, because I feel like there's a lot of managers out there, and there's a lot of managers that have been named by fans. I've seen Lee Carsley mentioned. I've seen Steve Cooper. I've seen Rob Edwards, Sean Dyche. I mean, there's some absolutely mental shouts. But I feel like if you're thinking realistically, we're not a very rich club. Obviously, we have a stature, and it's obviously we're a good location for a team, big stadium, some good players, but there's not going to be a manager, I think, that's going to want to go, oh, I've just been managing this team. Like in Rob Edwards' case, a year ago, he was managing in the Premier League, and now he's trying to keep Derby County up in the Championship, which he hadn't been able to do at a miles better Luton team. And then you're looking a little bit further down, and then you're looking at managers at other clubs, and then you're looking at someone that's going to cost us a lot of money to get out of a contract, and you're just looking at almost ruining the chances of us staying up before we even get a chance to try, when there's no more January, no more signings, keeping the same side that we've got, which, I mean, they've proved that they're a decent side, but they are at best 19th best on paper.
Okay.
And they're like, it's a hard decision to make.
Kieran, it sounds like you need like a firefighter to the end of the season then, rather than a project manager. You need Tony Mowbray's just probably gone and done that for West Brom. Someone like even like a Warnock or an Allardyce kind of character, just to keep you up and then start again. Do you think that's what he'll be looking for now, rather than someone longer term?
See, that's the thing. I thought when Oxford let their previous manager go, I thought that was a really bad decision, because I thought he had the capabilities and the up and comings of being a really, really talented manager. But they brought Rauer in, and he knows how to keep a club up. Yeah, we're not here to play like Barcelona. We're here to just play and stay up. And now look, they're moving away and further away from the relegation zone. So yeah, I do. I feel Paul Warne's job, ultimately, no matter how bad things get, is safe. That's my personal opinion. And the reason I say that is, let's say we let him go tomorrow, not only is that going to affect all of our current transfer recruitment, because I presume those players are tailored towards his style of play, but you've also got to think we've got to change up the backroom staff. We've got to change up the culture at the club. And I just feel with David Klaus, actually, I agree with his mentality. You want that stability, because Derby's been a club that hasn't had that. So it's a difficult one. Again, Gary Rowett was right there. He was following us up at the country on Sky, so we should have really gone with him.
The atmosphere at Pride Park, Tom, wasn't obviously the best on Saturday. Lots of people saying earliest they've ever left, and actually it was one of the most toxic that even they can remember, even in the times when you were strapped for cash and heading down. Was it as bad as you can remember?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned when we were strapped for cash and going down that administration season, because that is up there with my favourite season following Derby County, because all the fans were so united and together in following the club. We knew we were going down. Let's just have a laugh. Let's get behind the boys and just see what issues we can cause. And we showed that when we picked up points against the big teams in that season. It was awful on Saturday. You had the South Stand was pretty much cleared out by 85th minute. I think, well, my mate was on about it yesterday. He left at 60 minutes, and it looked like it was about full time because the walk back to town, there was just fans everywhere wandering. It was not good, and look, it was reflected on the pitch. The players weren't. The players didn't look interested. I didn't think for most of the game, which is obviously where the issues lie.
Right. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you, you three. It's never easy to talk about your club when that's the last thing you want to do. So we massively appreciate you doing it. Peyton, one little tweet I wanted to ask you about. Corey Blackett-Taylor says Nathaniel has done more in his short spell on the pitch than Jackson has done in the whole of 2025. Is one of the reasons why Paul wants to be looking for a new job tomorrow. Just talk to me about Blackett-Taylor. Impressive.
Very. I mean, I thought honestly he should have started. I think he was one of the only good things about that Leyton Orient performance. And then he doesn't get started, which didn't surprise me, seeing as every other time he's ever played well for us, he's not got a chance. Warne doesn't seem to like him. Seems like it's a little bit better now, but too little too late maybe. And then he comes on, they bring on a new fullback, and that fullback didn't have him once. He got past him 4 or 5 times, put plenty of good crosses in, but at the end of the day, you can play like Lionel Messi and do nothing. And it was just his frustration almost looked like everyone's frustration. I think in the 89th minute, he kind of had a bit where he ran all the way down the pitch, got to the corner. He had no options and was almost ran out of play by just like 3 or 4 of them who just swarmed him. And he just looked almost just lost. He didn't have any passes. He didn't have anything. There was no one in the box. He was really, really good. And then just our luck, 92nd minute, does what he's done 5 times before, but catches a knock to his knee and he might be out for a month. Hopefully it's just a thing that hurts a lot, but
yeah. Fingers crossed. Small glimmers of light. Sunderland this week, of course, and then Cardiff as well. Free hit maybe with Sunderland, Kieran, and then focus on the big one, Cardiff.
I mean, I think Cardiff. I mean, that game against Swansea, they looked, fantastic. So I'm starting to get worried about all of them games. I don't know when the next 2 points are going to come. To be honest, I think against Sunderland, I know they've made a fantastic signing as well. I worry. I worry now. The fixture list just doesn't look easy, and I think bar Plymouth, there's not many other Championship clubs that I can definitively say we're going to beat. So yeah.
Okay. Last week, if you're watching, we asked AI to predict all the home fixtures for Derby. This week, we've asked it to predict all the away fixtures and how many points it will get. Derby will pick up from the remaining 30 points or 10 away wins we've got. This is what it came with. It said you would pick up 10 points between now and the end of the season away from home. Wins at Norwich, Plymouth, and West Brom, which is surprising. And a draw at Swansea. The rest of them would be losses to Cardiff, QPR, Borough, Portsmouth, and Hull. I think it goes off previous results. Tom, would you take that now?
I'd bite your hand off for that. 100%. Our away form this season has been absolutely dire. And, looking at the fixtures we've got coming up away, as Kieran just said, Cardiff, they looked really, really good on the weekend. Yes, it was a South Wales derby, but, I mean, still, they're in a good bit of form. Norwich, again, I can't see it. And then QPR on a fantastic run. The only one I actually agree with the AI on is West Brom because they seem to be a bit of a bogey team. Like we always seem to pick up 3 points against them, and they can't do it against us. But apart from that, I'd be surprised if we got more than 5.
Okay. Peyton, would you take 10 points now if I'd offer it to you?
I would 100% take 10 points. I feel like with our away form especially, I mean, I've been to 2 away games this season and watched us win more times away than a lot of fans who have been to every one but one. And that says a lot when I don't think we haven't won on a Saturday away from home since last season. And I can't even remember when that was. It's awful. It's disappointing to see, especially with a lot of fans. I mean, we sold out every away end this season, bar like I think 2, and even then it was like 4 or 5. Well, like tens of empty seats. When you bring 3,000 people every week, no matter where we are in the country, you want your players to be doing better than losing to everyone and anyone with disappointing performances. And I genuinely can't see us under Paul Warne winning another game away from home all season because I can't see where we win. Even Argyle, I think they have a good home following and can make a fair amount of noise, and it can get behind the players, and they have that little bit of quality that could just lead to a worldy strike that gives them a 1-0 win.
Okay. All right, then. We'll try not to be too doom and gloom in the weeks coming. Do give us a subscribe and a follow by clicking the buttons below. The last topic this week is to follow on from our discussions of last week. We are starting, because January's rubbish, the worst ever Derby 11 in the Championship era, the last 20 years. Last week, it was Kieran and Peyton who put Soldini in goal as the worst ever goalkeeper that we've seen. So now we're adding strikers to that list. So, Kieran, kick us off then. Just give us who's the worst striker you've ever seen play for Derby.
I'm going for, and I'm talking monetary value, Nick Blackman. I think he's something like 3 million or something like that, and I think he only ever scored a penalty. I don't know why we spent that much money when he was out of contract that exact season, but yeah, Nick Blackman, pound for pound, awful.
Okay, shout, Tom.
I mean, Nick Blackman is a great shout. There's a lot to choose from. We've had some right questionable signings over the years, especially up top. I think one from more recent, it might be more League One, but when we signed Bobby Duncan, and I don't ever think I saw him kick a football. He just got sacked off to about the Cypriot 3rd division or something like that. I mean, but I'll go with Theo Robinson because he's one that I could just never quite get behind.
Okay, Peyton.
I've got 2 names. I've got one that currently plays for us, and that is Connor Washington. I think he hasn't had many opportunities, but when he's had opportunities, I sometimes question if a fan's got on the pitch. And then the one that I think is more dead on is Mason Bennett. He came through at a very young age, and he's had a couple of moments for us, but being a striker who's almost 30 years old, who has scored less than 20 goals in his entire career, and most of that being at Derby, yeah, I feel like, yeah, Mason Bennett.
All right, some really good shouts there. Let us know in the comments if they've missed any and who should definitely get into that starting 2. Right, thank you very much, you 3. Difficult one for you to talk about this week, I know. Do you expect by the time we meet next week, Kieran, that he'll have gone?
No.
No?
No.
Tom, do you expect the corner flag picture any time in the next 5 days?
No, I think he's safe till the end of the season.
Peyton?
I'm gonna have to say no, unfortunately. I think he's gonna be in that dugout for time to come.
Okay. All right then. We don't wish for managers to be sacked, but of course we're just reflecting what social media say. So we'll just say good luck for the games this week, especially against Cardiff, because that's going to be That is a 6-pointer, and we'll review it all with you in 7 days' time. Thank you very much for watching, and drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so.